During the 15th century, Romania had never sought to be as modernized as other countries, which is true even today. Although Romania lacked education and focused more on traditional values, their belief was to rely heavily on superstitions because of the mythologies and lore behind the Romanian cultures. The provinces in Romania have changed drastically over time because of the different rulings throughout its history. The most prominent provinces located in Romania include Transylvania, Moldavia, and Wallachia. Transylvania is located in central Romania and is bounded on the east and south by the arc of the Carpathian mountain chain. Transylvania is home to many medieval towns and has switched hands between many different rulers due to battles and wars. Through all of Transylvania's hardships, it is still a very beautiful place. Transylvania's beautiful, unspoiled landscape is dotted with imposing medieval castles, elegant palaces, Saxon fortress churches, and crumbling ruins. Some of the most famous fortresses and castles in the world are located in Transylvania, including Bran Castle, Bearden Fortified Church, and Kalnik Fortified Church. Wallachia, also known as the Romanian land, is a historical and geographical homeland for all of Romanians. Wallachia was founded in the early 14th century by Basarab I and is located just south of Transylvania and beyond the southern parts of the Carpathian Mountains. Like Transylvania, Wallachia has been a part of many different empires. Wallachia came under the direct control of the Ottoman Empire, and this lasted until the 19th century, with brief periods of Russian occupation. Vlad the Impaler, Prince of Wallachia, during his ruling, also played a large role in the history of Wallachia during the 14th century, and helped shape the local culture of Wallachia. Moldavia, similar to Wallachia and Transylvania, has been a land in which it has not industrialized as much compared to other countries around the world. Moldavia is a beautiful area in Romania that is one of the few left around the world that is still well preserved and maintained, and will continue to stay this way. This land has a very interesting history, but is very different compared to other provinces located in Romania. Transylvania, located in the heart of Romania during the 15th century, influenced the geography and culture of all of Romania. It is the largest province in Romania, encircled by the Carpathian Mountains, and because of this, these mountains have shaped the way people have lived for generations. Since the beginning of Transylvania, the people who have lived there have relied heavily on farming to support themselves. Since Transylvania is almost totally encircled by the Carpathian Mountains, the culture of the people who lived in the region for centuries has barely changed with time. Rural communities in the Carpathian Mountains have generally preserved ancient traditions, customs, and techniques that are efficient and effective up until present day. To this day, villagers still live in the Carpathian Mountains. In the 10th century, people called the Magyars, which are ancestors of modern Hungarians, arrived in Transylvania. The Magyars stayed in Transylvania for over 3 centuries until the Hungarians came to rule. During the 14th century, Nadu Negru formed a principality in all of Romania. A principality is a country which is governed by a prince. Many believe having a principality led to the death of Romania when the Ottoman Empire had taken over. In the book Dracula by Bram Stoker, he mentions a place in Romania named Transylvania, and that it is said that Dracula had lived in the Carpathian Mountains. Many people in Transylvania believe in Dracula's existence, even today. Bram Stoker wrote a loose legend based off of Vlad Tepes, but it has not stopped folks from making stories up about Dracula. Showing how naive many people can be in Transylvania, they always follow culture and traditions before anything else. People all over the world today go visit Bran Castle and hear tales about how Dracula once lived there, but in reality, he never did.
Wallachia is a very prominent province in Romanian history. Here, many different ruling countries established ownership, such as the Ottoman Empire, the Russians, and the Bulgarians. Creation of Wallachia was the first independent province in Romania, and this was achieved in the 14th century through the unification of small units of political units that existed throughout the Carpathian Mountains. Wallachia got its first start when waves of nomadic people rode across the territory. After Wallachia got the start of people traveling in and around it, King Basarab of Hungary, who later refused to accept the suzerainty of the king, settled down and ruled because he had a great military experience and was widely accepted by the country. Because of Basarab and his great military, Wallachia was the first independent province of Romania. Later on down the line, Vlad III, Prince of Wallachia, also known as Vlad the Impaler, ruled Wallachia. Throughout Vlad's reign, he encountered many hardships that had to do with the Ottoman Empire. Vlad and his brother Radu were held as political hostages by the Ottoman Empire because their father, the ruler at the time, was ousted. This set up very tough times for the young prince. While captured, he had a very traumatic experience among the Ottomans, which molded him into a sadistic man. To take back Wallachia, Vlad III planned an ambush and ultimately defeated the Turks, regaining control of Wallachia.
When Vlad seized control over Wallachia, he exercised terror on those who opposed him and defeated many, if not all, countries that went on the offensive against him and Wallachia. He shaped Wallachia's culture during his rule and how it is today. He was responsible for more than 80,000 deaths as a ruler. Vlad would strike fear in the eyes of everyone who opposed him by impaling victims on spikes, burning victims alive, gouging out eyes, chopping off limbs, and drinking the blood of his victims. Though Vlad was very gruesome and sadistic, he created order and justice in a country that was previously lawless. To some, he is seen as a modern-day Romanian hero.
Moldavia, like Wallachia and Transylvania, has also been involved in wars with the Ottoman Empire and has a principality as its government during the 15th century. They also have been culturally and traditionally established just as much as Transylvania and Wallachia. Since Moldavia had a principality, they had a prince as their ruler. During the 16th century, their prince was named Stephen the Great. Stephen the Great was a very strategic and skillful man who was very tactful. During his ruling, he had defended the principality against the Ottoman Empire, winning against the Turkish from them invading into not just only Moldavia, but also other provinces located in Romania. Sadly, when he passed away, Moldavia and other provinces had lost their independence and became under Turkish rule. Since Moldavia had lived during the agricultural era, the people produced their own food and necessities and didn't have relations with other countries until they were taken over by the Turkish. Their food and lifestyle is them growing up on the farm and growing crops. They would sell or trade crops with local villagers. This was the medieval age. It was typical of them doing so. Moldavia was dependent on themselves for getting their own food and other necessities. Moldavians have lived this way since the birth of their country. Even today, the population has increased to producing their own food and basic necessities because of the lack of industrializations in parts of Moldavia. Moldavia had not established public education until 1860 when they opened the University of Iași. Moldavia, also while focusing on religion, followed the traditions and customs as well. Moldavia is heavily into believing superstitions that come along with their belief in religion. Many of them still believe in things passed down by their ancestors living in the early ages of Moldavia, such as the 14th century when it was established. Having many superstitions behind the famous Bran Castle, the true essence about the land is it being truly placed and harmonious. Romania is predominantly mountainous, a defining natural feature being the Carpathian mountain string surrounding the central region known as Transylvania. Forests, villagers, and animals all live in total harmony with the environment and nature. They all help preserve the land for future generations and endangered pieces of non-industrialized land. The Carpathian Mountains will always be cultivated until the day that man has yet to ruin its beauty. The Carpathian Mountains is a perfect correlation between nature and man-made land kept well preserved. The balance between nature creating the land and man maintaining it creates a look of peace and tranquility. They do not only do this for themselves, but to pay back in respect to the land for giving them a humble and peaceful living. Keeping the Carpathian Mountains alive and sustained will show other places all around the world why Romania in general have taken this approach of not ruining nature's gift to mankind. Villagers do this in order to benefit future generations who will take their spots on taking care of what little we have left from nature's giving. Villagers who live on the mountains would rather keep their lifestyle on the farm than giving it up for a job in the city. The villagers who live here have past generations from thousands of years ago, still living in the very spot they live in today in the 21st century. The villagers who keep the land maintained also do it for the animals that will become endangered without the forests. The people who think of the Carpathian Mountains think of Bran Castle, and in Bram Stoker's famous book, his famous character known as Dracula today lived in a castle like Bran Castle. Dracula's castle in Bram Stoker's book looks similar to Bran Castle, which persuades people to believe that Dracula's castle is based off of Bran Castle, but it is not. It's ironic that Bram Stoker wrote about a castle that looked like Bran Castle, but he had never visited Romania. Bram Stoker did not know about Bran Castle until many people had later told him after the book had been published that Dracula's castle resembles Bran Castle. People even believed that Vlad Tepes, the non-fictional character behind Dracula, had lived there himself, but he did not.
Ultimately, Romania has been a country that lived in the past in the agricultural era and traditional values rather than keeping up with the progressive era and modernization. Compared to other countries, Romania seems based upon the spiritual world and unknown mysteries of lore and myths, which characterizes how ignorant and naive they can be. Economically, still today, there are places in Romania that have yet to industrialize. All the provinces located in Romania have an ideology on superstitions. Many of the people who live in Romania are usually secluded from one another by having groups of villages live together and support each other without having the need to go to another village to obtain the basic necessities. Romania will continue to be a country that lived in the past, following their customs and traditions as well as their superstitions.